So I'm recording. Hi there. So welcome to the Icehouse podcast. I think this is number 3, and today I've got Kevin D'Ambrose Smith. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, how are you, mate?
I'm good, buddy. So we've just been having a conversation about where we are. I am actually back in the Icehouse office today, which is a relief. This is the day 2 of level 2, and you're at home, I guess.
I'm at home, yeah. And this is actually like the lockdown hasn't been so dramatic for me because I actually work from home. So I'm one of those lucky people that have a home office. And in fact, a lot of my clients, I've got clients in the South Island. I've got clients, Gisborne, Taranaki. Some I've actually never met in person, or I've met once. I've flown down and met them the first time we started working together. And I've actually just picked up my second client in Australia. So I'm quite used to working remotely. So for me, it hasn't been so dramatic, but I'll be looking forward to coming in and joining you in the Icehouse next week.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, it is a Friday, so mainly I'm in the office for Friday drinks, which I've just found out aren't happening. So might go now. Yeah, might shout. And you have to shout because you're quite a distance away from everybody. At last, I'm not loud anymore. People think I'm a normal tone because they're all 2 meters away from me.
Perfect. You've come into your own, mate.
So we know each other quite well because you are an Icehouse coach. You're someone who works with a lot of my clients, but people who don't know Kevin, I'll give you a bit of an overview, and I'm not reading this at all. I've just got some interesting pictures down here, but Kevin's worked at advertising agencies, DDB, Ogilvy and Saatchi Saatchi, and also has helped to grow businesses like big businesses like Telecom, Spark, Breweries, Unilever, NZI, McDonald's, the list kind of goes on. But when I pitch you, actually, Kevin, something that I often say is that you started from growing a business and multiple businesses, especially the main one, which I know of, is Nappies Direct. Was that the biggest one that you kind of...
Biggest as far as turnover? Yeah. So...
Started from nothing as well, and
no. We started a whole lot. Yeah, so we started them all with. I'll give you a bit of background.
Please.
So what happened was I was working at Ogilvy, which is a big advertising agency. Had Kimberly Clark as a client, and they do Huggies, Nappies, Kleenex, toilet tissue. Those a lot of big brands. And I knew they were looking at home delivery of baby products, and so it was too much of a conflict for us to approach them about setting up our own business while they were my client. But when I resigned to go to Saatchi and Saatchi, I approached them about us setting up a business. So they said yes to that. So my wife Pia did an amazing job. We had 1 month until the baby show. So she left her job. And in 1 month, she set up our first baby business. So we were there, set up a website. And this is back in 2002 when websites were very new and novel. I think we were the second people in New Zealand to get an online credit card processing facility, with the only company that did it at the time in New Zealand.
Wow.
And so, we got into the baby business. So it was really exciting. We didn't have kids at the time. Pierre did an amazing job, built it up over 3.5 years. And then I joined. And then out of that, we spilled out, because the trouble with the baby business is all your customers, you lose about 1/3 every year. They get toilet trained. So we grew it into, we had an online toy store. We had an online pharmacy. We even went to online grocery. So we ended up having a warehouse that was effectively a supermarket that had everything except for fresh and frozen goods. So anything you could put in a box, we sold, obviously toilet paper, but dishwashing powder, biscuits, you name it.
Wow. And when did you wrap that up, or you'll sell it on?
Sold all those businesses 3 years ago, exactly. Just over 3 years ago, yes. So did it 15 years, built it up, had some ups and downs, made some mistakes, lost some money, made some money. But, after 15 years, we went from launching it when we had no kids to the point our kids are now 15 and 13. So, we were kind of just about, it was time for a change, and, right time to exit.
I think, and so going through all of those is a part of the reason why. I mean, you've probably been working with us for a couple of years now as well.
Coming up nearly 3 years, so 2.5 years. Loving it.
And I mean, especially what's happened recently, people who are watching don't know if you know, hopefully you did. There was COVID-19 specific coaching that was funded for by the Regional Business Partner Network. And that is kind of still going on with just in the understanding of if that pool of money has slowed up and might have finished, but there is still other funding out there. But something that you've worked on quite a bit with the businesses that have been affected in a minute, especially with my clients, is that kind of, and I'm sick of saying it and I will stop saying it soon, but the pivot word, and looking at how term pivot is changing, and that comes from a startup word. And when we hear it, we kind of think about the massive disruption. I mean, give us an overview of how you've been working with them pivot, as it were, but and the ones that have been hit the hardest.
Yeah, it's tough but interesting times and quite exciting times, and I'll touch on the exciting bit later. But the pivot, it is an overused word, but it's a real opportunity out there. Like one of my clients that I've just started working with, function staff, they supplied staff for functions. Needless to say, in lockdown, the functions business isn't so solid. So their revenue they had hundreds of staff that they employed every month to suddenly grow, right?
Yeah.
So they've not only just pivoted, they've rebranded. So obviously function staff's too specific, right? So they've called themselves Entourage. They're now supplying staff to courier companies, to supermarkets, warehouses, anyone that needs extra work. So it's actually and that's what you can do in this market, is it forces you to look at other opportunities. But the beautiful thing is afterwards, you've actually got a much stronger business. I like multiple revenue streams. So at the moment, now they've got 3 or 4 industries. So they're not relying on one industry, which due to totally out of their hands has been devastated. That will come back. That's the one thing people have got to understand with this. We will get through it. It's going to hurt, but like the GFC, it's worse, but we'll get out of it. But they'll come back a stronger business because they'll still have the function business, but they'll have all these other revenue streams. And so they've actually built a lot of redundancy into their business because now they're not relying on just one industry.
Yeah. And also, and I think that's interesting as well, because something that's happened, and I know you've done with a couple of clients who we won't mention, but having the time and the disruption has made them look into the type of clients that they have. And then they have a certain amount of clients who the return on investment is far less than others. And now they're only starting to actually assess what with each client and how much money they're spending. Obviously different from different industries, but.
I mean, and that's it. It's like, you've got to know, where does your money come from? You've got to know your numbers, but you also want to know who are your most valuable customers, who are your top 100 by revenue, and who are top 100 by orders. Because instead of someone might drop a whole lot of cash once, so officially they're in your top 100 customers, but they don't come back. Where if you've got someone who's spending money with you every month, that's a loyal customer, and I'd much rather have that customer that spends $100 with me every month than one that spends $1,000. So that's it. Look back, see who's easy. Some people are just hard work. I've worked in the service industry. I've had clients when the phone rings and you see who's ringing, you're like, it just brings you down. And then there's other people, great, it's Gareth. Oh, cool. Have a chat. It's really good fun, and you're doing good business. So sometimes you are better off without some people. There's so many. You have those clients that always change the brief at the last minute, and all you're doing is makeups. Then you lose. You're putting time and materials into producing what they want, and so you're losing money. I've had one client I've just started working with. It's really interesting. They've had to cut back their services because there's limits on what they can do, and they're actually finding they're making more money, more net profit. So they're doing less turnover, but they're doing. It equals a better business. So then you've got to say, even if the business comes back, do we want it? And the answer is probably no. Let's get more of the type that's making us extra money, than just doing, because if you take on extra business with no profit, all you're doing is spinning your wheels. You're making yourself more complicated, more staff, more deliveries, more manufacturing, whatever you're into. And that stuff's hard to multiply. So it's not always good business. The other thing I'm really, really encouraging customers to do at the moment is, I'll give you an interesting example, right? So, someone like Ray Kroc, one of my favorite stories ever from business is Ray Kroc was speaking to the MBA program in the 1960s at Harvard. So very prestigious. And he said, "What business am I in?" And people sniggered. And he goes, "No, I'm serious. What business am I in?" Someone goes, "Oh, you're in hamburgers." He goes, "No, I'm not." He goes, "I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
I only find permanent tenants for my clients. Guys to rent my buildings. So, I'm actually in real estate." And our business with all our online retail companies was exactly the same. We were a media company, so you've got like, so all we did was so we had to run retail to capture the data. But in fact, where we made all our money was we would do a lot of information we'd send out for all the people that wanted to talk to household shoppers. We had the best household shopping database in the country. All these new mums with children, banks wanted to talk to them about mortgages, remortgaging, insurance companies want to talk to them about life insurance, health insurance, So we had all that information. We'd also do a lot of work for Heinz, Johnson & Johnson. We'd sample products, get reviews, do influencer work. If we're sending an email to our database, it cost us like 10 minutes of time to drop in 100 words in a picture from one of those big manufacturers. But, that was 99% profit. There was no cost involved. We're sending the email anyway. But for us to do, the same amount of, make the same money with our low, thin margins, because we were taking on Countdown in the warehouse, how much work was involved in buying that stock, holding that stock, packaging that stock, shipping it out, media. So we're in media, and it's quite interesting. So with the pivot, you look at most businesses are actually sitting on a gold mine in customer data. And that's where I mainly start. I work with them to what they've got already. And they don't even realize that that's actually the true gold in their business. And you look at someone like Tesco, in the UK, huge, really good supermarket chain, but their data is unbelievable. They are the biggest seller of pet insurance in the UK, supermarket. And you go, how does that happen? But hey, look, you start buying puppy food, believe it or not, you'd probably very like to have a puppy, so suddenly they're going, hey, do you want to insure that puppy? But also then they can start selling all sorts of other stuff. It's like, hey, UK, so you've got a puppy, it's coming into spring, maybe you want some flea treatment. Hey, what about a new, you can predict that dog's going to be, that puppy's going to be a dog in 3 or 4 months. They probably need a bigger dog bed. Sell them, propose the dog bed. And there's all these things, and most companies are actually sitting on gold. So what I'm working with a lot of my customers at the moment is look at your data and understand it and start segmenting it. A lot of them are good at social media, or they're pushing out, and social media is awesome. I love it. But you can't personalize social media. Where if you've got my name and email address and say, what sports I play or where I live, then you can start talking to me, about, hey, driving me into your local store or making me an offer that's relevant. So it's the right message to the right person at the right time. So if you can't sell at the moment, or even if you can, sit back, look at your data, what could you add to it? And then we've done some great work with clients where we've actually now got them in such a good position that when things are opening up again, they're suddenly not just blasting it. They've got their data, they've got it in an email system, and they've got all these messages ready to go for the rest of the year.
Do you think the ones who are kind of people-to-people businesses are finding it the hardest because they can't do the face-to-face interaction? I mean, I sell coaching and training and owner-manager programs for business owners. A lot of it has always been face-to-face, but over this period, I've been doing quite a bit of it online, and people don't necessarily need it. But some business owners who are kind of like, I don't have a tech bone in my body, and I don't want to be going online, but they are going to be forced to go digital. Have you been helping people understand that it shouldn't be as overwhelming as what people
and it's really not. That's the thing. The great thing with technology is you go back 15 years ago, you had to have someone code to create a website, and you even look at a PC, 15 years ago, a lot of it was quite complicated. Now it's just click and tag. And a lot of web building is exactly the same. But, so don't be too afraid of it. All I would say is get independent advice, because anyone, and I hate to be critical, but there'll be a lot of people probably have been made redundant will suddenly pop up and they'll be web developers, any web developer is going to tell you they're the best in the world. And you'd hope so, because it'd be pretty rare if someone turns up and goes, oh, I'm the 11th best web developer in Takapuna or whatever. So they're going to tell you they're great. So do your research, understand, and it comes down to the brief. Understand what you want out of this. And it doesn't have to be an online retail site. It might just be information, because the reality is your customers are already searching for their products, services that they're going to buy and use online. So if you haven't got an online presence, you're missing out on sales now. Even pre-COVID, you're missing out on sales. Exponentially, you're missing out on sales because more people are, using online. So they're doing all their research. So you've got to work out what's right for you. And for some people, it might be as simple as you get the data, and then we're just sending the right message. And then, if you're a service, you can let them know about your service, how they can find out more. You mightn't be able to close the deal online. Where people sell products, of course, you want to go that step further, get them in. But it comes down to the brief side. Get independent advice. Speak to a few people. Do your research online. There's great information. Contact someone like me. I'll give you a simple brief, go through the process with you, help you understand what you really need for your budget, because that's the other thing as well. But if you don't have that brief, both sides of the party are probably going to be disappointed. You'll be disappointed with what you get. The web developer's probably heartbroken because he or she has put their heart and soul into building what they believed was ideal for you. They're disillusioned because you're unhappy and they've given their best. You're disillusioned because you didn't get what you want, and you're both guilty because you didn't agree it up front. There's no point seeing this beautiful idea from a web developer and it's $17,000 and you've got 5, or the $200,000 solution and you've got 15. Be up front. I've got this much money. I want to do this. And if they're halfway decent, I'll go, well, can't do it for that. Or yes, we can. This is what you get.
I think also that something that, thankfully I'm here in the office and I deliberately put the screen here so people can see people walking behind us, and there's Simon, and so things like, but I've been in a garage really essentially for 7 weeks, and which my wife has loved. But something that I keep on hearing and I keep saying is that the first thing that any business owner or someone in business who wants help is reach out. And people are doing it more now. We found that, people still are. And it's not always monetized. There's sometimes you can reach out just for a yarn. So what myself or you would happily have a half-hour chat.
Oh, totally. That's the thing. We're all in business, so you've got to make money to survive. But, you love New Zealanders. I love New Zealanders. We love to help.
We do.
So, I'm more than happy to have a conversation or steer you in the right direction.
And it's not, and so there's COVID-19 specific funding which may have run out for certain regions. Other regions it hasn't, but business owners should definitely look into that because it could still be there. But also, if that pool of money has run out, there is still other ways of getting funding for business coaching or other things, not just with the Icehouse, with our competitors, but you might as well come here because it's the best place to get it. But and this isn't meant to be a sales pitch, but we really encourage everyone to get out there and just kind of make contact, have a yarn, talk about it, not even with us, with other business owners. And that's what we really try and facilitate with our programs, but get out there, put yourself out there and ask for help. And I think we might even put a link on this podcast of grow@theicehouse.co.nz. That's the best way to get a hold of anyone at the Icehouse that comes into us, and we'll direct you to Kevin or to myself if need be.
And just on that, I love what you said, like ask for help. Like so many times, actually growing your business is so simple because, it doesn't matter if you're a plumber, right? You'll have a good database of customers, right? An electrician wants to know, it's not a conflict. You talk to your local electrician or someone he'll want to talk to those same customers. You'll want to talk to his customers. You won't have this exactly. In fact, it's very seldom you'd have a total overlap. So straight away, for no money, you can mail his email database. He can mail yours. Just tell. You can tell your database about his services, vice versa. That's a simple way to grow your business. No money changed hands. Yep. But it's what I said before. If you've got the database, if you've got all your customers listed and their email addresses, then you can talk about the electrician to your plumbing clients.
Totally. Yeah.
And you've got a real asset there that only took you your time where you've had in lockdown to put together.
And people don't mind being sold to. People think this is a time where people don't want to be sold to. I don't. If anything, I think that some people are more open to understanding what small and medium businesses are going through, and actually they're going to start to spend more money internally in New Zealand, hopefully, which will hopefully, I imagine will definitely happen.
That's what I said at the start. I think it's actually quite an exciting time, and I'm not being cynical because at the moment, you look at like a lot of people might be relying on overseas companies, right? So they're buying products that are made overseas, services are supplied overseas, and the overseas experts might find delivering those services and products for overseas companies is getting harder.
Oh, totally.
So suddenly their service, their product delivery, all that's going to be not as strong as it was. But the most exciting thing for small and medium businesses in New Zealand is for the first time ever en masse, people are reviewing their expenditure. So I'll give you an example. Like, you look at one industry that is quite fascinating is toothpaste, right? And toothpaste, the only time you ever have the opportunity to get someone to switch brands is when their first child gets teeth. So then they're suddenly revisiting the category. So their first child, 6 months old, start growing teeth. So they go, oh, I've got to buy milk teeth, toothpaste and a toothbrush. And it's the first time they've ever thought about the category. So they go, oh, I've always been McLean's. Yeah, maybe I'll try the Colgate, or vice versa. And then, oh, well, if I'm going to buy McLean's for the family now, why don't for my child now, why don't I buy it for the family? So they review the whole category, and then they make a decision they might stay with for 40 or 50 years. And at the moment, people are reviewing their expenditure.
They are,
They really are. And so they're actually, instead of just out of habit buying where they've already bought, they're starting to look at the categories and going, hey, do I need to spend that? Do I need to spend it with them? So it's a great time to put your hand up and say, look, we've got this offer. Here we are. Where before you wouldn't have been noticed. You might have been drowned out. Now people are actively looking, and they might spend less money, but if they spend more money with you, it's a win. And there's going to be a lot of overseas operators who can't perform to the same level.
Totally.
So it's a great time to put your hand up as a New Zealand company and go, hey, what about this? People go.
And we don't have any sponsors on this podcast, so if anyone from McLean's or Colgate is listening, then we'll be very open to talking about teeth and dental hygiene every 5 minutes. You'll have every single podcast. It's been awesome to have a yarn about the specifics of how we can help people, and I think we've said it till we're blue in the face, but again, reach out to us. That's kind of the message that I think both of us would really like people to do, is kind of seek help in any which way of any part of business, personal as well as business. Get out there and ask for help. But something I like to do on these is find out some personal questions. We know each other quite well. So, for instance, that I set up a dartboard in my garage over the period that I could kind of do a Zoom, and so we had interactive darts, but the main reason for that was having a few beers with friends. What's your favourite alcoholic beverage?
I have to admit, I'm not much of a drinker, mate.
No, I kind of knew that.
No, so it's a tough one for me. My drink of choice, dare I say it, is chocolate milk. Love this stuff.
Is it? You get through a lot of milk in your household as well, don't you?
We have a lot of milk. It's good. It's quite a fascinating topic when people see how much milk myself and my 2 teenage sons go through. But I love red wine, nice Pinot Noir. I love a beer, so... I'm still one of those old fools out there I play tennis twice a week and play touch rugby and those kind of things. And so, always have to celebrate with a beer afterwards.
So you're very fit. You don't drink that much. You've got good calcium levels. Is there anything else you don't?
I'm planted on the very fit. No, I'm not on the very fit category. Still moving. So. And
is there anything in lockdown? I know you said you've been working at home. Is there anything that you've been watching a lot of recently that you think anyone watching this should be having a gander of?
I must admit, I love basketball. I coach a lot of basketball. Both my sons are very into basketball. So, I don't watch huge amounts of TV, but having more time to do it's quite nice. So definitely been watching, the Last Dance about Michael Jordan.
Oh my God, it's so good. I'm waiting for the next one to come every time. Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I'm scheduling right as soon as it's released. We're all
There's quite a few business synergies in that as well. If you look at the way that he ran his life and how he, run it himself as a business and didn't really give a crap about anybody.
No, that's what I love about it. He was his own man. He showed real leadership. Like everyone else is going, oh, this can't be true. He wouldn't quit. And he's like, don't want to do it anymore. And that is true leadership, that he was, and just the way he brought his game, he was doing things that now other players do, but no one else was doing what he was doing when he was doing it. So.
People who haven't watched it don't know much about basketball, but Michael Jordan is probably the best that's ever lived in it. But something that's interesting about him is the competitiveness. And if he didn't have something that he could find that competitive edge, he'd make it up. So he got beat by someone in the game, and then afterwards he said in publicly that they come up after the game and said, "Oh, well done, MJ." They never said that. That was a lie. He lied, but he wanted to add that competitive edge so much and compete hard that he made up that someone else kind of was not being a very good sportsman, which, don't go bad-mouthing anyone else in business, but imagine you can be better. Hey, I really enjoyed the catch-up. Thanks so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
oh no, just everyone stay safe, stay positive. Hey, it is tough, I'm not, there's no getting around it, but we will get over it. And planning, that's it. Confidence leads to planning. Planning leads to confidence. Like just make a plan, make decisions. Yeah, some will be right, some will be wrong, but I love a quote from Theodore Roosevelt. The best thing you can do in a crisis is make the right decision. Second best thing you can do is make the wrong decision. The worst thing you can do is make no decision. Sometimes it is a decision to sit still if you need to assemble more information, but there's no point waiting until you've got all the information. You'll never have it all, and by then the opportunity's probably passed. So, but seek advice. Do get hold of us. If you've got someone you trust or believe, just throw ideas off them. I should have done that more with our businesses. Some of the biggest mistakes we made was when we thought we knew everything. We thought, oh, this is the way to go. And we needed that person in the room, just playing devil's advocate going, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? And
challenging.
But don't just freeze and stop. That's not a solution.
No, it's not. And so, this has been great. Really appreciate it. Again, get in touch if you need any help. I will say, Kevin, the manner and your knowledge with the clients that you work with, for me, is great, and the feedback we get is amazing. And long may that continue, and I'm sure it will. And hopefully, I don't use you too much. You run out of capacity,
mate. Always like more. Always like more. Keep it coming.
Well, you just drink some milk at 3 a.m. and smash out some more work for us.
Get a focus, you power up on a few bevies. So.
Just had an idea. Another sponsor, Fonterra. Okay, great. Okay, we're going well. Awesome. Thanks again, mate.
Hey, cheers. Thanks, Gareth.
Thanks, buddy. You too, man. Bye.